Hello, good morning. I hope that you're all well and that you've had a good week. I'm recording this video very late today. I'm afraid I overslept considerably. Last night, when Ray went to bed, I started or continued to do some work on a little fun bonus project for an event I'm participating in later this year. And I was so into it and so enjoying it that I just didn't realise where the time went. When I looked up, it was gone 2 o'clock in the morning. Oh dear. By the time I'd put everything away and had a quick tidy up of our TV room and kitchen, it was 3 o'clock before I settled down in bed. So I do have a good reason for oversleeping this morning. This week, been very busy writing books for future releases, yeah, that's been great fun. But I also find when I put the books together, I'm just always exhausted afterwards. It's that sort of, I don't know, like, you know, when you've given birth, it's like, oh, there's nothing left inside of you. And one booklet in particular, I stitched the sampler way back last year, and I love that sampler so much. And not only is the sampler beautiful, the story behind it is so beautiful, and I've really enjoyed researching it and sort of like almost hugging it and treasuring it to myself. And I found writing the booklets, I don't know, it's like giving away a child somehow, but that's something you've got to look forward to later this year. I did get some stitching in, not a huge amount because I was quite tired in the evenings, but the project I'm working on, I was going to show you at the end of the video last week until I had to dash off for the electrician. And this is the sampler. An unusual colour combination. You don't see many red and black. There are red and black, but you know, it's not commonplace. There's lots of reasons why I'm stitching this. One, because it is actually a very pretty sampler. It's long and skinny. It's a great shape, being long and skinny for your sampler wall, because it's different to the average shape of a sampler. And this sampler is to hang in my red room. And in my red room, I do want little flashes of colour, because those flashes of other colour show off the red. It makes the red of the room sing. So that's another reason why I'm stitching this sampler. And the third reason is there's a fabulous backstory with this sampler, which I really am enjoying researching. The sampler was stitched by Celia Pudney, and Celia's actual name was Frances Celia Pudney. So she records Celia Pudney further down, but she has her FCP initials as well. When I bought this sampler, it was purchased from the grandson of Celia's best friend. And when Celia died, she had no children and she left all her belongings to her friend. And the grandson had actually put this up for sale, and he's given me so much background information on Celia. It's been an absolute joy talking to him and working on the research for this sampler. It would make a fabulous cover for a housewife. I keep on seeing it as a housewife, but this will be framed because it's just so much easier for us to have models framed. Anyway, that's what I'm working on. Now, the big event of this week was Hobby House Needlework's announcement yesterday of a new limited edition release for them in collaboration with Hands Across the Sea Samplers. Now, this is the sampler. It's a present for a friend. It's different. This is a very young child's artwork. You can imagine a little child sitting down with a packet of crayons and drawing from their imagination. A sampler like this could be you know, a drawing your child or your grandchild brings home from school and you pin on your fridge door or frame and hang in your kitchen. There's so many beautiful quirky elements to this, and there's many elements in this sampler that would make beautiful smalls, some really lovely patterns. You know, there's so much in here that you could take and make into smalls. This house with the garden scene is so pretty. Now, this little girl, she did lack concentration. There's lots of quirky little things about this sampler which keeps your needle on its toes. I love doing things that are different, and this really kept me alert when I was charting and when I was stitching. And the little girl, all credit to her, the linen that she stitched on was very high count. And she did a wonderful job. Now, when I saw this sampler originally, I thought, gosh, this is a one-off. And I was so delighted within a short period of time to see another sampler come up for sale that you know that this is the same school, the same needlework teacher, because so many elements in this sampler appears in A Present for a Friend. And the other thing was that this was a present for Harriet. Now, this little girl couldn't spell, or maybe her teacher couldn't spell, because it's a present for a friend without an I. This one is a present for Harriet Flute, and present was spelt P-R-E-A-S-A-N-T. So that just makes me smile. And, you know, going back into the 1800s, with especially people that lived in the countryside, there were some very broad accents, and they spelt as they spoke. So maybe that was, you know, just how they thought present and friend were spelt. Look at that motif down there, isn't that pretty? Now, this is only stitched with 3 colours, and when I first had the sampler, I thought, oh, maybe the blue has faded differently as sunlight has played across the sampler. And there was only one blue, but no, there were definitely 2 blues. And the funny thing is that with Harriet's sampler, or the present for Harriet, there's 2 blues in that sampler as well. So, A Present for a Friend is only worked with 3 colours. And here are the colours. There we go. And I haven't got the Soie d'Alger to show you, but I have got the Soie 103 colours to show you. Excuse the end on my red, but I just wrapped an unused thread around it. Silk is never wasted in this household. So there are the 3 colours. So pretty. Love those. That blue against the red, that's how I should show them. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Now, if you want to stitch with silk for the first time, but you're deterred by the cost of kitting up in silk, this is a great project. 3 spools of silk is not going to cost a lot to kit up. The model was stitched with the Soie 103, and it was stitched on cat's whiskers. And here is cat's whiskers. Now this is a hard colour to capture on the screen. So what I've done, I've pulled a skein of DMC that's a relatively close match to it. This is 762, what am I on about? And that's a very light pearl grey, and that is the colour of the linen. I know that Hobby House Needleworks are offering various different linens for this project, and Zweigart Platinum, I believe, is one of the colours, and you know, it's going to be a beautiful project. It's going to be different. It's going to keep your needle entertained. It's also quite a good travel project, only having 3 colours as well. If you go to Hobby House Needleworks website, on the page you can make a booklet only purchase. You can buy various different options of fabric, Aida, and also they are offering it with the DMC, the Soie d'Argent and the Soie 103. Now, a word of caution if you're stitching on Aida with this sampler. Let me just find it a moment. Our little girl occasionally went off count with her cross stitching, so you would have to make an adjustment by moving over this design over by 1 thread to stitch those cross stitches, but it's perfectly doable on Aida. You just have to make an adjustment by 1 thread, and here, for example, she put a little stitch in there, but you can do something different for the windows. You could fill that in with a different stitch, or you could not have anything in there at all, or you could just do a little bit of back stitching to make sashes on the window. So although if you stitch it as an authentic reproduction, it's not suitable on Aida, it's very easily modifiable to be stitched on Aida. And I'm always very happy to help Aida stitchers and guide them. Yeah, such fun. Love this so much. Hobby House have a special gift for people purchasing the kit, I believe, and I should have that to show you. Let me go and get, I'm sorry about that, I'm very disorganised this morning. It's a scissor block that features designs taken from the sampler, and you've got the whole sampler on the top, and then you've got various elements. I don't know whether to use this with red scissors or to use it with blue scissors. I really don't know. I've had this for a little while, but I haven't used it yet because I didn't want to until they were released, just in case somebody came around my house and saw it. So go to the Hobby House Needleworks website to get details of who qualifies for one of those. Very unique, very useful. These little scissor blocks, because they're wooden, they're really great to take to retreats and workshops because they're light, they don't get damaged in transit, and you can just pop them on your table as you're working, and they're also lovely using at home as well. If you go back through my floss tubes, you will see when I featured the original sampler and talked about it, and on subsequent videos shared my stitching journey with this sampler. I haven't got the original to show you because I gifted it to a friend. It was a present for one of my friends, and she now has the original sampler which she hangs in her study. My friend works in the publishing industry, so she works with words all the time. So I thought it would be appropriate for her to have this sampler, not only because it's a present for a friend, but because of the way the little girl spelt friend. She missed out the I. Now, when you're stitching this sampler, if that bugs you, you can quite easily pop in an I. An I is one of the most straightforward of lowercase letters to stitch, but if you need help with charting the I, I'm very happy to help you with that. Size, does it matter? It does and it doesn't with your needlework. This week I saw a conversation on social media about the use of high and low count linens and about the use of Aida. And it really bothers me when I see people being put down. I don't know how else to describe it. Honestly, you should stitch on whatever size linen or Aida that you are comfortable with. Stitching is meant to be enjoyable, and you can't enjoy something if it's painful working on that project. Your needlework will look beautiful if it is stitched with care, no matter what count and what fabric that you use. It's so important that you are comfortable. If I go into my craft room, I have many tubs of fabric, and I've got tubs of 28, 32, 36 count linen that I have not stitched on for years. You know, that they were from my early days of stitching. But one of the reasons that I've kept it is that I know that as my eyes age, I will be going back to lower counts. And even though I stitch on 56 count now, I may end my stitching life on 28 counts, or I might be stitching on 14 count Aida. You just don't know. So, you know, please do not be concerned if you are stitching a project on 28 count as opposed to 56 count. Honestly, it does not matter at all. You stitch on what you're comfortable stitching on. So size doesn't matter when it comes to your fabric, but the size of your needle and the size of your thread does matter. You first of all, you decide on what fabric you're going to work on, and that size of fabric will determine the thickness or the fineness of the thread you use. The thickness or the fineness of the thread that you use will dictate the size of the needle. The eye of the needle has to be the correct size to comfortably hold your thread. If it's too big, your thread will not stay in, and if it is too small, the eye will damage your needle. The size of the eye of the needle determines the thickness of the needle, and the thickness of the needle is the correct size to open the hole through which the thread passes. That's really important. If you use, say, for example, a size 28 needle with Flosstube, when you're putting that needle into your fabric, it is opening up a much bigger hole than is necessary, plus your thread is going to be constantly falling out of the eye. So size does matter with thread and needle, but it doesn't matter with your linen. You choose whatever linen or Aida that you want to stitch on, and keep on sending your beautiful finishes in. I had a gorgeous finish come in this week that was stitched on Aida. It was a client that I worked with and modified the sampler for so that it could be stitched on Aida, and it was personalised to celebrate her very special anniversary, and it was a gift for her husband. It was lovely to see. Anyway, okay, I am starting to rabble. I think I better do this as a quick video because Ray will be expecting his lunch. That's how late it is today. I really did oversleep. There we are. Have one more look at a present for a friend. Oh, I tell you what I have forgotten to talk about. There's no name on this sampler, but there is a name on the other sampler that it was a present for Harriet Flute. Now, I Googled or did some research on family history records on the name of Harriet Flute, and there was only one child that was born in the correct period, because there were some that were sort of in the 1900s, but we know that we're looking for 1800s for this sampler. You can see these samplers are very old. There was only one I could find, and she was born in Astwood in Buckinghamshire, and she was born in the August of 1828, and her father was an agricultural labourer. Now, I always thought when I saw this sampler that the child that stitched this sampler lived in the countryside, and that sort of fits in with this sampler and the location as well. I love how one sampler can cast light on another sampler. It must have been a tradition in this school for the children to stitch presents, or stitch their samplers and give them as presents to a friend. And I think that this little girl, she must have loved her friend dearly, because there's a lot of work in this sampler. For a child, I think that's quite an achievement. Anyway. This is different. It's going to look different on your sampler wall. I had originally thought I was going to hang this in my kitchen because it reminded me of children's artwork. But actually, this is in my TV room, very close to my sewing chair. And I often look up and I always smile when I study this sampler. Will you stitch it as a present for one of your friends? You might want to stitch the sampler and keep it for yourself, and then take an element from the sampler and stitch it as a small for your friend. Anyway, visit Hobby House Needlework's website. If you're buying a book only and you live outside of the US, I will be shipping the books from the UK, so they attract a lower postage rate. Now, as I understand it from Hobby House, that when you buy it, the shipping after the purchase has been completed and it's processed by Hobby House, the difference in the shipping will be refunded to you. But if you have any queries, just email Hobby House about the shipping rate. We are very happy to ship the charts from the UK for people living outside the US. There's no point paying any unnecessary shipping charges. It always amazes me how expensive it is to ship from the US. And one of the crazy things is that I can send something via UPS from the UK to the US for a fraction of the cost that it would be with UPS to send that same parcel back to the UK. It's crazy. Anyway, have a good week. Sue and I are getting up very, very early tomorrow morning. We're off to a trade show for a couple of days. We are starting to acquire things for the boutique at Mrs. Parkman's Needlework Academy that's being held in the October of next year. Getting very close to announcing that. Yeah, it's going to be great fun. We would like the boutique to be a little bit different, I love quality products, I love different products, I love products that I can use every day or decorate my home with that reflects my love of my needle. Okay, I really am rambling. See you next weekend if God is kind. Bye-bye.